Good afternoon, yogis. Today's practice is focused on the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is the second chakra in our sequence, and it is located directly below the navel. Often associated with the color orange, the sacral chakra on a physical level rules the reproductive, digestive, and urinary systems, as well as is associated with the lower back for any of you out there who would like to release this area. Once we've restored this physically, we hope to have, on an emotional and spiritual level, a deeper ability to not only manifest and have a deeper emotional intelligence with others, but also greater enthusiasm and self-reliance. So I've put together a few positions that should activate and open this chakra. And so whenever you're ready, let's go ahead and meet on our mats and get started. So our first position is going to be lotus pose. So I get into this by putting my feet directly out in front of me and then grabbing one towards my pelvis and then letting the other one stack on top of it. When you're here, just go ahead and maybe lift both cheeks out of the way to really let your sit bones root into the earth, and place your hands above your knees to get to a comfortable position. From here, we're going to move into a few spinal twists. So go ahead and take your right hand and place it on your left knee as you reach your right arm behind you. Try to take your gaze over your left shoulder as you fall deeper into this stretch with every breath. Take your final breath here and slowly start to move over to the opposite side, finding yourself in center and then placing your left hand on your right knee and your right arm behind you, once again gazing over your shoulder. Once again, we're going to stay in this position for a few breaths and really focus on using the breath as a tool for releasing and going deeper into your stretches throughout this practice. Take one more breath here and then meet in center. We're now going to take our left hand and reach for the sky and then bend it down to meet our right hand behind our back in preparation for mermaid. So the important part here is to keep your chest proud. If your hands don't quite meet, just grab a t-shirt or an elastic band and help yourself really focus on reaching back. In just a second here, we're going to go ahead and balance out on the other side. So this time, take your right arm straight up in the sky and then reach back to meet the left arm behind your back. As we come out of our bind, we're going to meet in pigeon with our right knee bent in front of us and our left leg out behind. You're going to bend your left leg up so that your left arm could then meet it, and reach your right arm towards the sky to then pull it back and meet in the bind, similar to what we were just doing with our arms, but this time also engaging our legs. This mermaid pose is going to help increase flexibility in your chest, your hips, and your arms. And so, of course, like any other position, if you came into it on the right hand, go ahead and match with the left. If this is too difficult for you, always feel free to move into child's pose and regain your center. So however you'd like to transition, let's go ahead and move back into a seated position for a few cat-cow variations. I'll be taking bound ankle pose with my feet together and knees butterflying out the sides. So what's important here is to use your breath as you do these spinal exercises. So breathe in, chest up, breathe out, cave in, and really feel that rib cage moving up and then back as we warm up the spine in this plane. As you breathe, pay special attention to the sacral chakra below your belly button and feel how this area is being worked as we keep our hips rooted and just allow our spine above to create these small fluctuations and movements. When I'm doing these, I like to start slow, really emphasizing the movement forward and back. And as I start to warm up this area of the spine, pick up the tempo. You'll see some people doing it, maybe a movement every second, and some people taking 3 or 4. So whatever rhythm is right for you, find that and embody it. Maybe trying out a few different ones to see what feels best. So from here, we're going to transition into our forward fold. So if you'd like to maybe get back into a neutral position and then put your seat bones into the earth as your feet fall out in front of you, what we're going to focus on as we do our forward fold is keeping our pelvis and our back in line with each other. So right now you see that my back was rounded out, but if I reach up towards the sky and keep that straight as I reach forward, it actually is a better tilt for your pelvis and should be focused on and maintained as you do your forward folds. It's actually more beneficial to not go as far if you keep this straight as it would be to fall deeper with a large curve in your upper back. Take a few deep breaths here and let every exhale allow you to fall deeper into your fold. In just a minute, we're going to transition into downward facing dog. So get ready to just plant your hands on the ground, shoulder distance apart, and maybe walk out your feet as you get them into your first downward dog position. Take a few breaths here as you ground into your practice. We're going to begin with a sun salutation. So we're going to go from our downward dog and either hop our feet or walk them towards our hands and be in our forward fold. Take an inhale, halfway lift, exhale, fall down. Inhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, stack them as you rise up and reach for the sky. Place your hands together or in prayer. And then reach out in front of you as if you had a ball between your hands and your knees and move into chair pose. When in chair pose, it's important to try and keep your knees above your ankles as you move your hips down to wherever you feel the deepest stretch. Keep your arms in line with your ears, reaching out in front of you. Allow your chest to drop. When you're ready, bring them back and do another forward fold down on an exhale. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands and move back into a plank position in downward dog. So in our downward dog, we're going to raise our right foot up and do a few knee to elbows. So right elbow, then left elbow, and then plant your foot in between your hands in front of you and come into warrior one, reaching your hands towards the sky in a low lunge. When you're ready, open your arms to the side and meet in warrior two. Really focus on rooting into your right foot as we transition into warrior three by taking our arms in front of us, and reaching as we lift the left leg up in line with our upper body. If you need to plant your right arm down on the ground, just open your left and find yourself in half moon. Otherwise, stay in warrior 3 and then transition back into your warrior 1, lunge with arms above you. From here, we're going to plant our arms down on the ground and bring both your legs back down into a downward dog vinyasa flow. So plank position to cobra or upward facing dog, and then back into downward facing dog. Now we're going to do the same sequence on the other side. So this time lift your left leg up and meet both elbows in the front. So starting with your left elbow, reach up, reach to your right elbow, reach back up behind you, and then plant your left foot between your arms as you go into warrior 1 on the opposite side. For warrior 2, go ahead and open up your chest and reach both arms in front and behind you in line with your legs. And now same thing, focus on rooting into your left leg as you reach out in front of you and let your right leg this time float up in line with your arms. At any time, if you feel like staying in warrior 1 or 2, just focus on your lunge or even half moon. Otherwise, go back from warrior 3 now into warrior 1, and then plant both hands in front of you and move back into your downward facing dog and do another vinyasa, so chaturanga, moving from plank and bringing your upper body down into either cobra or upward facing dog, and meeting back into downward facing dog for another sun salutation. Forward fold to half lift on an inhale, exhale down, and inhale as you rise up, and stretch your arms back to allow your chest to open up. If you want to do chair again, meet in chair. Otherwise, we're going to do eagle by taking the left leg and wrapping it around the right, and doing the same with your arms and wrapping them in front of your head. What we're aiming for here is a 90-degree angle with the arms and legs. So your shoulder to your elbow to your hands being a 90 in front of your face, and then your hips to your knees to your feet being a 90 at the lower half of your body. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate by turning to the side when we take our right leg around the left. So notice that it's easy to get into your 90 with your arms. So right away, that will be in front of me, wrapping, meeting at the hands in the 90. And then for the lower half, I like to kind of fall into it as I breathe in this position. So starting maybe a little higher up with the hips, but then slowly dropping into your 90 there as well. One thing that you should keep in mind is to try and keep your shoulders above your hips and your hips above your ankle. So next we're going to meet back into our downward facing dog for another warrior sequence. So however you'd like to get there, go ahead and plant your hands back on the ground and then maybe walk your feet out to see how far you've already come in this practice. Is there more space in your thighs? Do you feel less tension as you stay in this position? And whenever you're ready, we're going to take the right leg up. And now create a 90 in your leg as you pump your foot up towards the sky. As we prepare to move our right leg in between our arms to get back into warrior 1. And move into reverse warrior by letting your left hand meet your left thigh and right arm reach above. Then extended side angle, taking your right elbow to right knee, left hand reaching in front of you. Reverse triangle, legs straight, arms reaching back. And then humble warrior. So meet your hands behind your back, fall back in your lunge, and let your chest lie directly in front of your right knee as your arms reach out beyond your head, allowing there to be more space in your chest and in your shoulders with every exhale. You want to make sure that you're not resting on your right leg in this position, but just directly in front of it. And focus on falling in your lunge as well as reaching through your chest. Now, option to come into bind or stay in extended side angle. So if you're going into bind, just take your right arm below your right thigh this time and meet it with your left. You're welcome to look up towards the sky or keep your head in front of you. If you were just staying in extended side angle, we'd have our right elbow on our right knee and reaching towards the sky. Now plant your hands in front of you and then lift your right leg back up, similar to how we got in this position, and then meet it back with your left on your mat. Walk out your legs and then do the same sequence, raising your left leg this time. Pump your foot towards the sky for 4 or 5 rounds, and then prepare to bring your left leg through your hands at the front of your mat. So coming down into our lunge, go ahead and raise our arms up above us as we meet in Warrior One. And then reverse warrior, right hand meets right leg as the left hand comes up above. Extended side angle, left elbow on left leg, right arm reaching forward. Then reverse triangle, leg is straight, right arm meets right leg, left hand straight above. Now humble warrior by having both of our hands meet behind our back and dropping our chest on our left leg. And letting ourselves fall deeper into both our lunge and our shoulders stretch with every breath. Come out of humble warrior. Let's go ahead and take our bind if we did so on the other side, or meet extended side angle. So extended side angle would be your arm rested on your bent leg, otherwise it reaches below it and to your other hand. Letting your gaze go towards the sky or towards your foot, whichever gets you the best sensation in your body. From here, we're going to do a side plank sequence. So whenever you're ready, meeting in Warrior One, plant both of your hands next to your feet and have your legs meet at the back of your mat. Let your upper body shift above your wrists, coming into a plank pose. Slowly shift your weight onto your left hand and stack your right leg above your left leg. Placing your right arm at your hip, start to find stability through your rooting arm and lift your top leg up, so in this case the right leg, and then reach for your foot with your right arm and come into an extended side plank. It's okay to be a little shaky here, or even just hold your side plank if that's where you feel most comfortable. But as we did so on this side, we're gonna mirror on the opposite side. So coming into plank, I'm gonna move forward so you can see the positions. We're gonna this time stack on our right arm as our grounding arm and have our left leg float up. We're going to grab our left leg with our left arm and come into an extended side plank on the right hand side. So this is normally easier for some people on one side than the other. You might find a little bit of shakiness or tension, but never let yourself feel pain in any yoga position, but do aim for a deep stretch. So we're going to use a downward dog to transition into child's pose to reset. So plant your hands on the mat and then let your knees fall on either side of your chest as you reach them forward to the top of your mat. Focus on keeping your hips low and letting your chest fall as your forehead grounds into the support below you. Take a few deep breaths here. Focus on filling up from the base of your stomach and pushing out through your rib cage as you take deeper and longer breaths. We're going to meet on all fours to then rise into plank pose. So get on your toes and have your hands below your shoulders. And take a few breaths here as we hold our plank. Try and keep your ears in line with your hips and your hips in line with your feet. We're going to be in plank for about a minute. So if you feel any discomfort, get back into child's pose or just focus on staying in your plank and not letting your hips go too high or fall or sag, but really having them tucked in and center with your body. From plank, we're going to transition into dolphin. So kind of like a downward dog, but this time we're going to be on our forearms, having our chest reach back towards our thighs. Let your head drop between your arms and focus on pulling your heels down towards the ground. Dolphin's pose is good for bringing strength in your upper body as well as creating flexibility in your hamstrings and your spine. From here, we're going to go into Yogi Squat Malasana. So walk your hands and your feet together. Come back into a standing neutral position and then let both of your feet fall out a little bit further than hip distance apart. And then meet both knees with both arms as you drop your hips down towards the mat and bring them into a prayer position. But the important part is having your elbows push on your knees and bringing your chest up in the middle of them. Keep your head straight and high. Keep your hips low. Keep your feet rooted in the earth and ankles flat on the mat. When you're ready, rise up, fall into goddess. So this time both our arms come out on either side, 90-degree angles. Then we're going to mirror with our legs at 90-degree angles below. Maybe shift your hips side to side a little as you loosen it up, but keep dropping them further down as you try and maintain that 90, keeping your arms parallel with one another. And if you feel like it, go ahead and move on to your toes to get a deeper stretch in your legs and a more challenging balance through your core. A few more breaths here and then meet back in a neutral position to then fall into a forward wide leg fold. So legs still out in front of you, but now your chest falls down towards the ground. And maybe you grab your elbows and you shift side to side if you feel called to do so, or you just let them fall deeper towards the ground as you let your lower back loosen. Really dropping our heads further forward and breathing deeply. And then eventually coming back into neutral. From neutral, we're gonna lift our head and our upper back to a flat back on a few inhales and fall forward. Exhale, give a little bit of fluctuation to our spine, and eventually reach through our legs out behind us to fall even deeper. Now we're going to go work either side. So take your right hand to right leg and reach your left hand overhead. Twisting your gaze towards the sky and then doing the same thing on the other side. So left hand down to left leg, right hand above you. Then meet back in neutral for another vinyasa flow. So Lifting your upper body up and then planting both your hands in the mat as you go back into your plank pose. And then move through chaturanga, so lower down, and then either come into a cobra, being completely flat on the mat, and then just raising your chest and head, or upward facing dog as I just showed you, and then meeting back into downward facing dog. Eventually step your legs through and find yourselves in a seated position. We're going to do a few seated twists, sage mariachi pose. So take your right leg and bring it above your left, and take your left elbow to meet your right knee, twisting your upper body as you take your gaze over your right shoulder. Breathe here and find the extra space that you're creating in the base of your spine at your sacral chakra. Now do the same thing on the other side, taking your left foot and planting it outside your right thigh, and taking your right elbow this time and pushing against your left knee. Take your gaze over your left shoulder. A few deep breaths here, and then meet back into neutral to lay your back flat on the ground for a few rounds of bicycle. So go ahead and take both your hands to your ears and let your elbows fall out on either side of you as you then take your legs towards your chest. Reaching your right elbow to left knee and left elbow to right knee. We're going to stay here for about a minute, so focus on letting your abs do all the work and keeping your neck and head loose as you just put enough strength in the upper body to do reaching on either side. As we finish our bicycle sequence, we're going to plant both our legs back on the ground and then raise our hips up to come into bridge pose. So shoulders rooted, hands by your sides, feet and ankles rooted, and then just lift your hips. Take a few deep breaths here and then let your hips fall back towards the ground to then kick your legs up and above your head for plow pose. So keep your feet engaged and let your hips rise above your shoulders. If you feel called to do so, let your knees fall all the way to the mat on either side of your ears, or stay suspended here as we make room into the opposite side of our spine, balancing out the bridge pose we all held together. From here, we're going to come into our final resting position, Shavasana. So kick both your legs out in front of you, keep your arms at either side, and let your breath deepen. Shavasana is recommended for about 5 minutes, so stay here as long as you can. And really enjoy any space that was created in this practice. Pay attention to how your mind feels. Thank yourself for taking this time and appreciate all the work that you did here on the mat. Hone into your sacral chakra and thank yourself for all of the work that you did in this energy center. Really feel it opening up and energizing you from within. And slowly start to wiggle your toes and your fingers. And you'll make your way back to a seated position, so might be rolling over on your right side or left side, and then pushing yourself up. Find your neutral spine, and slowly open your eyes. The divine light in me honors and acknowledges the divine light in you. May your blessed day be filled with peace and love. Namaste.